Hello everybody, I am Keaton of Kinetic Catholic Ministries, back with another video. I hope that you are having an absolutely wonderful Tuesday so far. I know that I am here for Season 15, Episode 5. Guys, really quickly, before we get into it, I'm not just a YouTuber, I'm also a Catholic speaker, so if you want to book me to come and speak at your church, school, men's group, women's group, youth group, you name it, please reach out to us directly at kineticcatholicministries@gmail.com. Also, really quickly, Kinetic Catholic now has a TikTok. I want to clarify. I don't recommend TikTok. I actually think that it's a pretty bad social media. I think that it's very, very harmful. For me, it's been very addictive in the past, right? What I'm doing with this is not encouraging people to get on TikTok, but hoping to bring a little bit of the Kinetic platform to people who are already on TikTok, as well as bring some good content to the platform, because I think that such a social media app needs more of that. So if you are already on it, go check it out. Otherwise, I don't encourage you to download it just for this, and I want to clarify that. But today, guys, I wanted to do a Q&A. I haven't done a Q&A in a very long time. I feel like right before college, it's kind of a good time to get some of those questions in. If you didn't get yours answered, it is because for time purposes, I had to cut a few because I know, like me, and how I'll go on and on and on. And so I apologize for that. And then also, if you didn't think that yours made it, there's a pretty good chance it did, because some of the questions I just combined into one because they were pretty similar. So let's get into it with question one. Who is your confirmation saint and why? I really, really love this question because there's a little bit of a story to it, more than just like any old saint. Basically, when I was confirmed in middle school, and so I was actually on pilgrimage in Italy when I was discerning who I wanted my confirmation saint to be. And my absolute favorite church, I talked about it in my top 10 favorite churches, like my favorite church is in Rome. It is called Santa Croce in Gerusalemme. The Holy Cross in Jerusalem is what it translates to. And so there's a whole side room over there with all sorts of beautiful, amazing relics in it. And so when I was there, I decided, okay, well, maybe St. Croce, right? I didn't realize there was a translation for the Holy Cross. I thought, okay, whoever the St. Croce dude is, I guess that I love this church, so maybe this is who my confirmation saint should be. So then I found out it was the Holy Cross, and I was like, oh, I was really bummed out about that. Until my confirmation sponsor, who was on the trip, he's a canon lawyer, he's a priest, and we were talking to him about it, and he was like, well, why can't it be the Holy Cross, right? I mean, technically speaking, it still very easily could. And so my official confirmation saint was Saint Croce, which translates to the Holy Cross, which I think is pretty cool, and kind of having that dedication to the Holy Cross. And then some who I would consider my patron saints, right, like just in general, are Saint Clare of Assisi, Saint Mary Magdalene, Saint Tarcisius, just to name a few that I absolutely love. Question number 2 is, have I thought about becoming a priest? Absolutely, I have thought about it right now. I feel called to the married life and to still work in evangelization and youth group and other ways. I never like to just be like, absolutely, yes, I'll never become a priest, because I don't want to make it seem like I have everything figured out at just 18 years old. I also know that things can change, but for right now, I am fully feel called to the married life. I used to want to be a priest when I was really, really little. I think maybe I had talked about it on Kid Catholic at some point. But yeah, I feel very called to the married life. So the priesthood is not in my future for now. And again, I don't like to say anything that's absolutely guaranteed. Another question that I got is how does one discern their vocation, right? To the priesthood, to the married life, to the single life. So I really like this question. Sometimes I feel a little bit awkward answering it, because I myself, as someone who is not married, as someone who is not a religious, as someone who is not called to the single life, right? Like I don't always know what the end route is going to be. I think that for discerning, we like to think that we'll just be able to figure everything out like that, right? Like I like to think that. That's absolutely not the case. I also think that sometimes we're afraid that maybe God is asking us to do something we don't want to do. And I think a good reminder to have is that God is never going to force us into something that we don't want to do, right? It's not like, oh, we really, really, really want to become a priest, but God's going to pull us over to the married life, or vice versa. Like, that's not going to happen. You know what I mean? And so it's not all about what you want. It is ultimately God's will, but God also understands our desires. And so I think that that's just important to understand. I think in terms of how we discern it, it takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of patience. It takes a lot of prayer. And sometimes we're not going to have everything figured out, and that is okay. Again, for me, who hasn't achieved the end goal of one of the main vocations, right? Because vocation can mean a lot of things. And so when I say main vocation, it's probably not the official terminology, but I'm talking about religious life, single life, or married life. And so that is important to understand. So I got 2 questions about book and movies, okay? My favorite book and movie, and then a book or movie I would recommend to Catholics. And I think I'm going to do both because I think my favorite book and my favorite movie are both really, really good for the Catholic Church. And so my favorite movie is, well, there's three. And that is the Lord of the Rings series. The Lord of the Rings is not my favorite book. I love the books. I think the books are great. I fell in love with the movies first. I am a huge, if there's one thing I'm a nerd about, it's Lord of the Rings. I think that for order, for me, it goes first, the Return of the King, the third one, second, the Fellowship of the Ring, and then third, the Two Towers. But all of them are 10 out of 10, spectacular. I could literally sit and rewatch those for days on end. And again, J.R.R. Tolkien was a Catholic author when creating it. There's a lot of Catholic allegories that go into that. I've made videos about it in the past. I actually made several videos on the Rings of Power Amazon series that came out, which, for those of you who have seen it, you know that I am not a fan, but it is something that is out there. And then also, it's just spectacular. There's just not a better made film. And I think Peter Jackson did an incredible job of translating what J.R.R. Tolkien wrote, turning it into a visual form, because book to movie is not an easy thing, and it's done poorly so many times. And I think Peter Jackson did an incredible job. My favorite book actually is the Divine Comedy. I don't know why I hesitate to say that. The Divine Comedy by Dante. Beautiful. I know it's also a little nerdy. It's a poetry book, and so it's consisting of 3 books within it. So some people wouldn't count it as a book because there's Purgatory, or there's Inferno, Purgatorio, Paradiso, which is hell, purgatory, and heaven. And so it's about Dante, the poet, from a long, long time ago in Florence, right? Growing up and kind of going through the afterlife and exploring through hell and being guided through hell and through purgatory, and then finding his love in heaven, Beatrice, right? And kind of all that comes with that, and beautiful writings about the beauty of the Catholic Church and how we can't understand things and we're not supposed to fully understand, and dialogue with St. Peter, and it's just beautifully written. Obviously, it's like fiction. We don't believe that is the truth of the Catholic Church. That Dante actually journeyed in the afterlife. But it is absolutely it's incredible. It's an incredible read. There's nothing like it. I don't think that there can be poetry ever written like it again. I heavily suggest it. And that's something I would recommend to Catholics as well, right? Dante was a practicing Catholic. It's through the lens of the Catholic Church and him exploring the afterlife. And he has some really interesting things about how he talks about heresy, how he talks about all these different ordeals. And we actually see that a lot of the struggles that we have in the church right now were also going on way back then too, right? And yet the Catholic Church has remained strong because it ultimately is Jesus Christ's church. The next question is, how can I be a good Catholic YouTuber without being cliche, and how do I grow as an influencer? So I think it's difficult because I think cliche has a different meaning for everybody. I remember when I kind of started Catholic YouTube in 2016, Catholic YouTube was not, and Catholic influencers in general were not a huge thing. I'm not going to pretend to be some pioneer, the first to do it. I wasn't the first. But it wasn't a whole huge thing in 2016 like it is today. I think that's great that we have so many other people coming online. But with that being said, it makes it difficult, right? It makes it a lot more difficult to grow as a Catholic influencer. But that's also okay, because ultimately, the audience is great. I think the subscriber count is great. I think it's great to see how many people you're reaching. If we have a true love for it, then we'll do it for something greater, right? For something greater than just the numbers and the people that we see. Obviously, we want it to impact people. We want it to reach people. But even if it can affect the life of one person, then that's worth it, right? That is absolutely worth it. And so, again, it's not as much about the audience. It's okay to care about the audience. I mean, who wouldn't, right? But I think we need to focus on that. I think cliche is a difficult thing. It just depends on your content. There's so many different types of Catholic content that you can do. I like to do just straight apologetics. Because that's just what I prefer. That's what I've been used to. And that's not, I don't think that's as common for Catholic influencers. There are a lot of Catholic influencers who like to do skits or maybe bring in different things. And that's why I like to branch out sometimes, right? With movie reviews and interviews and reactions and stuff like that to come along with the apologetics, a Q&A, right? And so I think whatever you can do is great. I think there's nothing wrong with expanding to multiple things, to looking at what works best for you, at what you like best. Because again, cliche is going to mean different things for different people. And so I think that's a little hard. In terms of how to grow as an influencer, consistency is the number one thing, right? But it's also just, I hate to be that guy. A lot of it is about luck. A lot of it is about, does it find the right people? Does it grow the right way? And video quality and all that jazz. I could go into a rant about all of that. And I'm not 10 out of 10 on all those categories either, right? Like I still have room to improve in terms of that aspect. But I think just starting off with consistency, being consistent, like I've had a video every week since 2016, and I haven't slowed that down, even though at points definitely I've wanted to, right? I've been like, oh, I've dreaded it, but through prayer, through continuing to keep it going, I've absolutely fallen in love with the YouTube, with continuing it, right? Like love making a video every week, and so that takes prayer, that takes patience, that takes a lot of kind of pushing through, but it is absolutely worth it. And the next question, I'm not really sure how to answer. What do I wish everyone on earth knew? So obviously, from like the Catholic perspective, I'm going to say I wish they knew the truth, the beauty, the love of Jesus Christ, and the truth that is found in the Catholic Church. Outside of that, right? I mean, I think that's the obvious answer. I think outside of the obvious answer, I honestly don't know. I wish that they knew how great my favorite professional basketball team is, because they're pretty great. Go Thunder. They're my favorite team. I wish that they knew how great they were. I wish that a lot of people... Okay, well, I think this is a good one. I wish that a lot of people were able to get past certain kind of surface level things that should seem divisive in terms of building a relationship with people. I think there's absolutely nothing wrong with being strongly opinionated and passionate on certain topics, whether it's religious, whether it's political. I think there's a lot of fruitfulness to that. I think that when you let it affect relationships with people, when you let it affect how you treat people, when you let it affect how you are with people, I think that's a really sad thing. And so I just wish that everyone on earth knew that there's a way to disagree. There's a way to be passionate and strong and firm in your belief without like driving people away, right? In terms of that relationship. And I know, again, I don't necessarily blame people because sometimes it's completely incidental, right? Like it is difficult. It is difficult to find the balance, but it's important that we shoot for it. This next question, I really, really like. This is a creative one. If I were a saint, what would I want to be the patron of? I feel like, and this is probably like not a good thing or a thing that could ever happen, I feel like being the patron saint of YouTube would be pretty cool just because this is how I got my start. I understand that YouTube is like a business, it's a company, it's a social media platform, so that's not something that is like absolutely timeless that I can be the patron saint of. I just feel like it'd be cool, right? I feel like it'd be cool in some way. We have Saint Isidore of Seville as the patron saint of the internet, and so he's very powerful, very, very important for that. And if not, then being the patron, I can tag along with the patron saint if someone else would be awesome. But I really like this question because not just for myself, but I think for everybody, like this is the question we should be asking ourselves, right? Because number one, I think it's just fun to ask, like, oh, imagine ourselves as a saint. But number two, I think it's really, really important that we imagine ourselves as a saint because ultimately we're all called to be it, right? Whether we sit here and make Catholic YouTube videos or not, right? We're all called to be a saint. And so a saint, again, is anybody who is in heaven, even if he or she is not named a saint by the Catholic Church here on earth. And so like, we're all called to get to that eternal kingdom. And I think that it is absolutely great that we all strive for it, obviously. And then I think that there's nothing wrong with saying, well, okay, let's say I get to the eternal kingdom. Does the Catholic Church proclaim me a saint here on earth, right? And if so, what am I going to be the patron of? Like, what's going to mean in my story? I think that's a good thing. I don't think we, like, hyper emphasize that too much because I think that can get into a little bit of, like, egotistical kind of ness. You know what I mean? Like that kind of fear of that. But I think there's nothing wrong with talking about it in general. And so that is my answer. I got 2 questions left. My favorite sport. I like this question. I'm really into sports. I've never been particularly good at them, but I really, really like playing them anyway. I like watching them, which is why for my high school, I commentated all the sports game, right? I'm a go-to commentator. It's kind of funny. I've talked about how like any talent that I have is specifically with my voice, like talking. It's this, or it's commentating, or it's podcasting, or it's acting, which is like verbal. Yeah, so I really, really like sports. My favorite is basketball. I love watching basketball. I love playing basketball. My second favorite is football. I also love watching football. It is incredibly entertaining to watch. I think the only reason it's second is because I don't enjoy playing it as much as I enjoy playing basketball. Simply because I'm not as skilled in football. Like I'm not, I just typically like... Sometimes what I do for like therapeutic reasons, just to have a little bit of Keaton time, is I go outside and I play basketball by myself for like hours on end. And so I've just become more accustomed to basketball. I've also actually played basketball before. I played it freshman year of high school, which was not a fantastic experience. I was not good by any means. And I like played it a little bit in middle school. And so basketball is the answer. But I would love to hear what your guys' answer is in the comments down below. And then last question, what are you most excited for at Franciscan? So for those of you who don't know, here pretty soon, within just a couple weeks, I will be moving to actually, it'll be 2 weeks. 2 weeks is when I'll move into Franciscan University in Ohio, in Steubenville, Ohio. And so I'm pretty excited for that. What I'm most excited for, I don't know, I released a thing of like top 5 things I'm most excited for college. I released a video on that a couple weeks ago, and it's kind of changed, it's fluctuated. What I'm really, really excited for is that what's really cool about Franciscan is in the res halls, the Eucharist with perpetual 24/7 adoration is right there, open to you anytime. And so the chapel is actually right down the hall from my dorm. Like, it is right there, which is just absolutely incredible. I am beyond excited for that. I'm really, really, really excited for that. And then I also think just a good, strong, like, Catholic community I'm excited for, as well as, in a nice way, nice high school, being able to learn about things that I care about more, right? Like, I'm double majoring in theology and catechetics, and so rather than having to sit through all these like boring math and history and government, like I get catechetics and theology and things that I care more about in that sense. And so I'm very much looking forward to that. Let me know, guys, your answers to all of these questions down in the comments down below. I am very, very interested. Because this video ran so long, we are not going to have a Saint of the Week this week. But know that you all are in my prayers. I ask that you guys pray for me as I kind of journey into this adulthood college life up in Ohio and move away. And so I ask that you keep me in your prayers, as I will keep you in mind. If you have any prayer intentions leave them, please, down in the comments down below, so that I can see, pray for you, other people can see, and we can all pray for each other, which is such a great gift to have, by the way. So please like the video, please click the red subscribe button down below and the bell next to it. That way you get notified when I come out with a new video. Please check out the website, kineticcatholicministries.com. There's so many awesome things you can do on there. You can read about us, contact us. Your very own Kinetic shop is up there, so please do go check that out. Please check out all 3 of our social medias, Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok, down in the description down below. And then please share this channel and video with your friends and family. Make sure that they know about Kinetic. If you want to hear about a saint in the future, if you have a future topic suggestion, please leave that in the comments down below. God bless you all. I hope that you all are having an absolutely incredible day. Once again, this was Keaton of Kinetic Catholic Ministries. I'll see you all next week, and hi, Brielle.